Okay, I've been present in the last conference that was held in London a year ago, and I must say that yesterday when I got in, there were many, many new faces that I haven't been acquainted with before, which means that the network is growing. One important factor for us, as we are not just a law firm who sits and waits for clients, but we're much entrepreneurial and involved in initiating business initiatives that will eventually bring us clients. So the fact that International Refers not only has lawyers and accountants, also bankers and business-wise people, is a very important factor for us. Adding to that, the fact that we're only based in Israel, we really use the network on a personal level relationship with people all around the world that we can meet in the events in order to have our network of people, in order both to help our local clients in their expansion abroad and most of all attract international clients to many interesting things that we feel they can contribute to the local market. And in that respect, the international referral growth was very interesting. The new initiative, for example, of International Referral Latin, which is a new emerging initiative within the group, we're really waiting to see how it evolves because it's a really interesting initiative. And we surely hope that the cross references between the group will grow up as well.
Well, we are a new member from China and Taiwan. We're very excited to be joining IR. I think from the very beginning we have sensed a common vision and common values and common principles. And listening to my fellow panelists here, I'm actually kind of excited by their responses. And the reason is our firm is called Pamir, which some people know is a mountain range in Central Asia. It is actually the lowest mountain range sandwiched between many other higher, better known mountain ranges. But because of that geographic reality, all the Silk Roads in the north, central, and south converge through the Pamir mountain range. So historically, Pamir was the way in and the way out to Greater China. I was very excited to listen to Gary's description of his activities in South America and Latin America. Our firm actually has been focused on inbound and outbound with an emphasis on the Spanish-speaking world. I often tell my colleagues, some of whom have been from Honduras, Costa Rica, and Guatemala, that, and that they of course were surprised that we in China or in Taiwan would be looking for them to join us. I tell a story about there was once an Italian man. He worked for the Spanish crown. He wanted to bring the Spanish-speaking world and the Chinese-speaking world together. He thought he was in India, but he was in the Americas. He had a tough time executing on his idea, but he had the right idea. So I'm very excited because I think we can work with Gary and other IR members to actually perhaps be better at the implementation of the Colombian exchange, which he started. And meeting Eyal, I now realize that the group is growing and that we can now cover from the Wailing Wall all the way to the Great Wall. I'm very excited about the growth of this group, and we are looking forward to bringing the value system to Asia, to friends who are active participants, will be future contributors to this process that's going on, the Colombian exchange. I think Westerners learn about the Atlantic trade, Europe, Africa, and the Americas. What they don't hear about is the galleon trade from Latin America to Asia, through the Philippines to China. This makes us one world. I think IR is going to be a big factor in bringing the world closer together.
Well, I think what's interesting is it's always interesting to meet people and see what differences there are, but also what you have in common. I think what's very interesting about this conversation so far is to hear the relationship to Latin America as being in common in one way or another with all three of us. And I commented to Eyal that he was the first Israeli, and I've met many Israelis that I've ever met, who is a native of Israel and also a Spanish speaker. And I thought maybe he would share with us how that came to be.
Well, I must admit it's not the first time I'm being asked this question, because when I start speaking Spanish, so immediately the reaction is, oh, how do you speak so well your Spanish? So the explanation is quite clear. I was living for 4 years as a child. I was living in South America, in Costa Rica and Venezuela. And although I didn't speak again when I got back to Israel, like 18 years, when I started backpacking in South America, it all came back to me. And since when I got back, I got back also with a woman which is today my wife from Colombia. So I kept on being quite connected to South America, and I'm visiting there quite often. Spain, which is the European Spanish-speaking country, is a country where I put a lot of efforts. I'm a very active member in the Spain-Israel or Israel-Spain Chamber of Commerce, and we're making many initiatives which relates both to Spain and to Spain as a gateway to Latin America. So for me, doing law is actually, law is there to serve the businesses. Business is about people. And when you're talking about people, you need to understand what people want, what people are motivated about, and language is a very important factor in being able to create this kind of proximity. That's why being a Spanish native speaker facilitates a lot to me the penetration to Spain and Latin America.
Well, I think we came with very high expectations based on earlier conversations and reading about the organization. I found the presentation to be remarkable. There are many, many touchstones, common themes. The presentations have been inspirational, and they have been very practical about things to do. I've made a point to try to meet with each of the speakers. We're looking forward to reviewing the edited tapes and bringing the message back to our colleagues, and also using that as tools to share with other firms, potential new member firms. We love the entrepreneurial, practical cross-selling that's going on. I think the cross-fertilizations really. I think it is serendipitous or odd. We in Asia and Chinese-speaking world, we have a Spanish website to make sure that the messages about doing business in China are clearly presented to Spanish-speaking companies and firms who have clients. I think it's very natural, the evolution of what's going to happen. I would say many of my colleagues early on said, why are we building a Spanish website? I said, because there are 1.2 billion people who speak Spanish on the planet, and they have a natural business need, both in and outbound, with the Chinese-speaking world. I think it's an obvious answer. I see IR as a microcosm of that. I know we've been doing a lot of deals with Israel on the technology side. So as we meet, because we're new members, as we meet people, we're coming here for the first time, we have many of these kinds of conversations in different parts of the world. So I think that the organization is doing something right, and keep doing it, and keep doing more of it.
Eyal?
I must say, for me, the most important factor, as I said, it's the ability to create a good interpersonal relationships. And I can testify that since a year ago, from the event we had in London, I had at least 2 or 3 persons from the network visiting me in Israel. So I think it says a lot, because they came for that reason, for the relationships that we made during the events. And as I said, first it's the relationship, then business will come, and it is coming.
the practice of law, if you're doing if you have an international practice such as we do, virtually on a weekly basis, we're in need of assistance in various jurisdictions in which we don't have an office. And one of the things that the value added that we can bring to our clients is to be able to say, not only do I have someone who's a good lawyer in another jurisdiction, but it's somebody who I've met and spent some time with and learned about their practice and know them on a personal level. And over the years, I've made an effort to meet as many international lawyers in other jurisdictions as possible and develop relationships ongoing with them, because I know that I can't predict when I'm going to need their assistance, but eventually I will. And this sort of an organization, international referral, makes that a much more seamless process than the various alternatives that exist today.